morning, Judge.
Good morning, Annette. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fine. I'm so glad that I had two different Zoom hearings, and I was just going to go get my phone to make sure I was on the right. I'm in the right court, right?
I believe so. Yeah, these are 341st cases, but
Oh, got it. So, okay, because they provided a link as well.
a separate, yeah, no,
Yes.
but you're at the right place.
Okay. Thank you. Are we doing, okay, I have so many different things, but.
I think we're gonna do the Cynthia Salazar Lopez first. It's just a status hearing. And then we've got a injunction.
Or, yeah, I got the rest. Okay, got it. I think I got everything I need in the right place, and we're good. Thank you.
I want to make sure that the litigants know.
Okay. Um,
Let me tell Karen next door.
okay. Okay, yeah, they're probably in the other one. Because the other one's for the 341st. What happened?
It's a ghost image. Yeah, Mr. Reyes was in the 341st, but they redirected him here. And the notices they sent out did have this link.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We have a calendar and we share it. And there's two of them on there, but it doesn't say who's what. So good thing I scrolled down through the calendar and I saw that there was a second link. And then I opened the docket and I saw your name on it. And I remembered that you used that 523 or something. And I'm like, that's not the same one. And then I thought, well, maybe he's using the one for the 341st. So you already put me to think this morning.
Well, yeah, I just need somebody to show up. As I mentioned,
Sure,
this is going to be a status, and I don't think it's going to take very long.
sure. No worries. We're good. I can go get some shut eye or something for a little bit. We went to Austin for the weekend to go see my son in college. And my husband thought, you know what, let's fly. We can get direct flights to and from. Oh my God. Our flight was great on the way over there, but on the way back, we got bumped to 5:30. And then we asked them to put us back on our 2:30 flight to see if we would make the flight just in case, because there was an early delay in the morning that caused havoc. Anyway, we didn't get home till after midnight last night.
Oh,
Yeah.
is your son at UT or St. Ed's?
He's at UT.
What year is he in?
Well, it's his first year, but he'll be a junior after this semester. So
He transferred in?
no, he had 55 hours from high school.
Oh, he did
Yeah.
the college, yeah.
Yeah. The only reason he didn't get his associates is just he got towards the end already burned out, and he just needed to go like 2 Saturdays to make up his hours, and he didn't do it. I mean, because his grades were, he has like a 4.0, but above or
They needed
whatever.
to make, my son was in the STEM program, and
Yeah.
so he came in also with a lot of hours when he went to UT, and he took some, well, he would take the summers off and he would work, and then he graduated last year and decided to take some time off, but he gears up again here for graduate school in January.
Wow.
But he pretty much paid for most of his stuff, so through scholarships and stuff. So he said, son, whatever you feel comfortable with, I'm fine with.
I know, right? Well, it's really crazy. I know I'm a big pushover, but my son has his apartment until like August, and he says he's already talking to me about his schedule and stuff, and I'm like, no, you're gonna stay and you're gonna take at least one summer class. I don't care if it's music, I don't care if it's physical education. I'm like, you're staying, and because he's already wants his book for his MCAT. And I'm like, and you're gonna stay and you're gonna study. I'm like, he had it easy. I say he had it easy because he did. So that for about a year and a half.
Yeah, my younger son, I had to kind of prod along those days. He's a senior at UTSA, and last spring, we were talking, and he's like, and he has his apartment also there in San Antonio.
Yeah.
And I asked him, well, how many hours are you going to take in the summer? And his response was, well, I think I'm going to take the summer off. And I started laughing. I go, that means one of two things. Well, I guess you got a job, right? And he goes, well, no. And I said, if you're not working full time,
Correct.
you're going to take some classes.
Correct. I agree.
And if you don't, you're going to be spending a lot of quality time with your dad in Laredo. And then he changed his tune really quick.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, they have to kind of be pushed sometimes because, and I tell them this, and this happened to my nephew. He wanted to take some time off, and I said, look, you can't do that because once you stop studying,
Yeah.
it's hard, and you start working, it's hard to get back into that groove of being a student. Especially if you're making okay money, you hate to leave that. And
Yeah.
my son was telling me, because my son actually, he'd been working as a instructor for a gym class, gymnastics, and he's been doing that since he was a freshman. So he's been there almost 5 years, and they made him a manager of one of the it's a franchise, one of the places.
Sure.
So he's on salary now. He's making, and he was really nervous when I went to go see him 3 weeks ago. He says, Dad, once I start graduate school, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep my job. He goes, how am I going to do it? I mean, I'm not going to. And I said, son, so long as you're in school, I go, all you have to do is send me the bill. I said, don't worry. I'm you're not going to like the fact you're not making your own money anymore, but that's going to get covered. Your classes will be covered and your living expenses will be covered. So don't worry about that. He was
just part like 1 day a week. I mean, if he still wants to do it, is he still going to stay in the same location?
Well, yeah, he's sharing an apartment with 3 other students,
Good.
And
is it a 3-bedroom?
It's a 4-bedroom.
Oh, nice.
So, and yeah, but I think what bothers him most is that, he's going to lose a source of income. But, he's starting to realize he really needs to go to grad school.
What's his major?
He's going to study to be an RN or a nurse practitioner. So.
Has he taken all the admin stuff?
No, that's what he's doing now. As a matter of fact, that's why he starts. Originally, he was studying to go to med school. So, and he graduated with a degree in microbiology.
Really? My son wants to, oh my God, my son, he's like, I keep trying to reroute him, like to give him ideas like finance and he's taking biology right now, but he wants
if he's going to take the MCAT, that's the route to go from a very difficult route, but that's the route to go. And it prepares you. And what happened with my son is about 4 or 5 months before he graduated, he made the announcement that he didn't want to be in school another 10 years or whatever it took. And he says, Dad, I just don't think I want to be in school that long. So I'm going to switch to nursing. And I said, look, it's your decision. It's your life. Are you sure that's what you want to do? I'm not going to tell you no. You're the one that's going to be, but you're going to be working under people you think you're smarter than.
Yeah.
And if you're comfortable with that idea, then, he goes, yeah, I'll be fine. I said, okay. I said, we don't have any doctors in the family. I thought we were going to get our first. So I was disappointed in that. But he's been very self-sufficient. He had full ride through his first 4 years.
Nice.
Yeah, I went back and kind of redid the numbers. His 4 years at UT only cost me $6,000. Yeah, and that
including rent and stuff.
Including rent and everything.
Wow.
His first 2 years were fully covered. I mean,
nice. So
his first 2 years I paid $1,000 because he wanted a new computer, and that was it. Everything else was covered by scholarships.
Oh, nice.
And he lost a grant that he was also getting for his last 2 years. So I helped him out a little bit with his rent, but he was working this whole time at that gym.
Interesting.
And so he was making money and on everything else. So he, you know,
Well, that's nice. That's good. Yeah, my son right now is taking, his major is biology, and he's so crazy. He's so funny. He's like, Mom, I'm so, like, look at all my notes. Look how, he goes, I don't have time for myself. I can't go to the gym.
and UT's a very, I mean, I went to graduate school there, and it is tough. I mean,
Yeah.
and you're really on your own.
Well, right now, because they're doing it, apparently they're starting live classes today. And I'm like, Jacob, like, you're taking 13 hours. Like, I think he's taking 13, 14 hours, one or the other. I don't know which one. And I'm like, you're working full time. Like full time. I'm like, I don't expect for you to work.
I had that conversation with my son. I said, son, I really appreciate the effort, but
Yeah,
you're not there to work. You're there to get a degree.
correct.
And he says, no, I'll be fine. I said, okay, well, and he was, and he is.
Right.
I mean, he could, yeah, my fear is that he was not going to continue his education,
Oh no.
decide to start working, you know, full
It's not
time.
an option. That's not an option.
But no, he's enrolled. He's ready to, I mean, he's enrolled for the spring semester.
That's great.
And as a matter of fact, I think he gets his certificate to be a nurse's aide in a couple of weeks. He completes that. So he wants to start working either at doctor's office or at the hospital as a nurse's aide, which is, and he'll need that for grad school. So
Yeah.
so he's definitely on that path. And you know, being an RN or nurse practitioner is very good field to be in. So it's not like they're not needed. So
Absolutely. So my son told me he wants to switch now, his degree. He says, Mom, I really love chemistry. And I'm like, what? He says, I'm going to switch. I'm going to switch next
you
semester.
know, my older brother
Him.
is a pharmacist. You may tell him, I don't know if anyone's ever talked to him about that. My brother, and he still is, he was a pharmacist in the Air Force for forever.
Yeah.
And he works for the VA now, but he initially started down the path of trying to go to med school, and he's just like, no way, this is, you know, it's not something that I'm going to be able to.
Well, yeah, that's exactly, actually, I asked him, I said, are you thinking about switching your major, like to go to pharmacy school? He goes, no. He's like, I'm still, he says, I just love the numbers he loves doing the numbers. And I can still, it's still the same. The classes are like this, literally the same.
Well, good. I mean, you got to end up doing something that you're comfortable with. That's especially there at UT, because
but he's actually already talked about, because my husband's a retired Marine, and he's already talked about, he wants me to get him the book for the MCAT, which I thought was a little bit like too soon, because literally it's his first semester, right? And his counselor said, well, you know, you literally only have 2 years. So if you want to start studying, yeah, maybe you should, if you think you know, for you to do that. And
if my older brother took the route of, he joined the ROTC there at UT. So he basically had everything paid by, you know, the federal scholarships, I guess, for the military. and including pharmacy school. And so he, and of course, he made a career out of it. He started off in the Army and then switched branches to the Air Force.
Correct.
But
That's better to do through the Air Force for medical
right.
or the Army, but
Well, he started off for his first 4 years in the Army where he was an airborne ranger. So he wasn't doing a lot of pharmacy stuff.
correct.
But after the 4th year, they put him on inactive status, and he didn't like that, so he switched branches, and he joined the Air Force as a pharmacist, and that's pretty much what he did for the next 25 years or so.
Nice.
Yeah, no, he retired as a lieutenant colonel, so
Absolutely.
and he's only a year older than me, and now he works just to stay busy. So then he works with the VA and still gets to travel a lot. And
Yeah. Yeah. I totally understand all of that you're talking about. My husband, yeah, my son kind of knows, to reach out, but it's his first semester. And so it was his birthday on Friday. And we went over there and oh my God, these boys, he's like, Mom, you picked a bad weekend.
oh yeah, the UT game and everything. Yeah.
Well, we bought tickets to go because he wasn't going to go to the game. So he had a friend of his from here, from the Valley, fly up also. Oh my God, by the time we left their apartment on Saturday, there was already like about 8 guys in his apartment. And I'm like, we just went to go and take care of a couple of things for him and stuff. And anyway, we wound up going to a bar in the corner that's close by. And then they went to go and get some stuff. His friends went to go and eat. And his friends came up from A&M. So he had a party. He had a party, and then he drove us to the airport yesterday, and he's like, I'm so tired. I need to go study. Yeah. He goes, can you all take an Uber? And I'm like, hello, you went to pick up your friend at the airport on Friday, and we went with you, and you want us to take an Uber?
Oh, well.
I think so. This is luckily we were able to spend some time at the game. It was fun.
Yeah, no, I was there for the season opener 3 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's when I had a chance to catch up with him. My older son is there in Austin, and then the younger one's in San Antonio on the way back.
Oh my God, we met. Who's Laura? Laura, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, we have no litigants, so.
Yeah. So we went out. I'm telling you, we went to the bar there in the corner, and then my husband and I were like, okay, we've got like almost 2.5, 3 hours. Let's just go enjoy our time together, and let's just go have some beer or something, right? So we're taking it easy, right? And then all of a sudden, this guy comes up, and he's a really friendly guy, and he just starts buying shots for people at the bar where we were at. And we're like, oh God, no. Anyway, before we left the bar to go to the game, he gives my husband his car keys. And he tells him, don't let me drive home, please, because whatever.
Smart man.
Well, he gave us his car to his BMW AMG. We lost him on the way to the game. So now, anyway, and he's a computer programmer. And he gave us his name, right? So my husband looked him up. And so he graduated from UT there too, and he makes some cha-ching. That was our eventful weekend.
Yeah, I pretty much don't drive when I get to Austin anymore. I will Uber. Just more convenient, parking and all that, especially when there's a game on.
Oh yeah, we had to stay over by 183 by the Domain. The hotels were ridiculously expensive, but we're familiar with the area, so um,
I- Actually, yeah,
and we took our son's car, so he has his car over there.
I usually stay at the Domain at at Renaissance. No, is it the Weston?
Yes, yeah, we
But
stayed at
all,
the loft there. It's really nice there too.
well, the rates there 3 weeks ago were like 325 a night. And I was like, no way, I'm not paying that. So we went to the Arboretum and stayed at the Renaissance there.
Okay,
And the rates were, like 150, 160, I forget. I mean,
where's that at?
at the Arboretum, it's not that far from the Domain. It's a little bit further. It's southwest of the Domain. Because if you're going up Mopac, it intersects 183.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to the Domain, you pass 183 and then you exit. But if you go to the Arboretum, you get off on 183 and it's the next exit. And there's a Renaissance there. It's really nice too.
Is that where the Porsche?
Yes, exactly. Just to the left of that, and there's a whole
Okay.
bunch of trees. You can't really see it that
Oh
well.
yeah, there's some nice little shops to shop there.
And there's
Um,
shops and
Cheesecake
restaurants.
Factory is there too. Yeah, I know where we were around there. We were just a little bit further up.
So that's always our fallback position, is to go to the Arboretum. Yes,
Oh, yes. Okay. Yes. I'm totally familiar with that area.
so yeah,
Yes, it is very nice there.
and and there's all the shops there, and there are a bunch of restaurants. Actually, well, there's restaurants in both places, but
Yeah,
I,
that's
I think it's easier to be at the Arboretum than at the Domain.
you will do that next time.
Yeah, and it's
You're
a
right.
Renaissance. I mean, it's a nice place, and
Yes.
so, and it's usually $100 or so, cheaper to stay there than it is at the Westin.
Yeah. So are the shops walking distance? That's all you have
Yes.
to tell me. Oh,
They're connected. They're in the same
very good.
parking structure, I guess.
Hmm.
And there's a Z Tejas also within walking distance, which was very good. I had never been to one.
What is that?
Z Tejas. It's right across the street from the Renaissance, and it's a Tex-Mex Mexican type restaurant. It was excellent. I went there. I took my son there, and it was nice. A lot of times you'll go to a Mexican food restaurant there in Austin or something, and it's not, but this was really good.
Really?
And so,
Yeah, I'm familiar with that area. We were there, not on the Arboretum on that side, but yeah, we went to Costco, we went to Sam's.
yeah, all that's there just north of that area.
Yeah.
And there's an HEB also. So there it's well, it's a half an hour and nobody's shown, not even the plaintiffs or the defendants. So I've got temporary orders on this. So rather than keep you all waiting, Laura, we've got another case at 10. If you all want to break until then.
Enough about us. Oh my God, you're live too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Judge. Oh my God.
Well, we didn't know. We talked about our sons.
It's okay.
I'm sure most people got bored with it. So let's break until 10. I wanted to get a status and actually give them an update on, because they had submitted some
Oh my God.
exhibits. What I'll do is I'll reset this in about 3 or 4 weeks again, because we do need to have a status on this case. But let's come back at 10. I'm going to leave this running though, and we'll come back at 10.
Okay, Your Honor.
Okay.
So
See you
sorry,
later.
Judge, I completely, wow, I'm so
Oh,
embarrassed.
no worries.
All right, we'll see y'all in a few.
All right. We'll see you back here in 30 minutes.
I never talk so much.
Well, we're talking about our sons. It's easy to get carried away. Good morning, Mr. Mercado and Ms. Limos. We'll get started here in a sec.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Judge, what case is this one?
This is the Lopez versus Mercado and Limos,
Oh, sorry, same one. Okay, got it.
same case. I think the clerks in the 341st may have told the litigants different times than what was reflected in the docket, but so we may have both cases signing on right now, but that's fine.
Judge, do we not need an interpreter?
I don't think so. No, I mean, this first one's basically a status,
Okay,
and
okay, you're not putting any testimony then? They're
no,
not.
but
Got it. Okay,
the exhibits that Mr. Mercado had filed need to be addressed.
I remember.
I'm trying to see if,
Oh,
Let it ring.
Is that you, Sonia?
Yes, Judge, I'm in both courts. I'm in Palomo's court and I'm in your court as well. Do you need any assistance?
No, I just got a text that Mr. Reyes is logging on.
Okay. I believe that we also have the clerk already online.
Yes. There we go.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Mr. Reyes.
Judge, sorry for the delay. I don't know if Mr. Mercado or Ms. Limas are logged on.
Yes, everyone's present. So let me call the case. We're here on a status, but there is some things that we need to address going forward. The court calls 2021 CVG 1492 D3 in the matter of Cynthia Salazar Lopez versus Carlos Mercado and Martha Limus.
Judge Andy Reyes on behalf of Ms. Salazar Lopez.
First, let me ask, before we get into what I want to discuss, are there any issues that have come up regarding the temporary orders that I signed last or a couple of weeks ago?
Yes, Judge, there are. Judge, you signed the order on August 30th, 2021. And I would ask the court to refer to court's order,
No, I have it here in front of me.
right? And you specifically said that Cynthia Salazar Lopez and Carlos Eduardo Mercado should have the responsibility each of paying for 50% of the monthly mortgage.
Correct.
Starting on September 1st, which was when the payment was due, I believe. At any rate, Judge, my client attempted in earnest to deliver her half to Mr. Mercado, and Mr. Mercado just flat out refused to accept it. And so that put us in a tenuous position, Judge, where we would be in violation of the order of the court. So what followed was Ms. Limas trying to stand in Mr. Mercado's shoes and request that the funds be delivered to her. And so, Judge, we didn't want to do that. So rather than just handing it over to her, Judge, what we did is we asked for more temporary orders. And I guess, Judge, what we would like is, so as to avoid this problem, then maybe the thing to do would be to have Ms. Salazar Lopez be appointed as the person responsible to make the monthly payments and have Mr. Mercado deliver his half of the monthly mortgage. And so as to avoid having this problem, Judge, we don't want to continue running back to the court, Judge. And then I get calls in the middle of the day that, the constables are there and Ms. Lemus is at the house and, I don't
I
want
know.
to continue.
Okay, now, Mr. Mercado's name is the one on the note, and he's the one responsible for paying.
That's correct, Judge.
If he doesn't want to accept the money, Mr. Mercado, is there an issue with you receiving the money from Ms. Lopez?
Sí, pero no te entiendo todo lo que está hablando en inglés.
Me estaban diciendo, y estamos hablando informalmente y estamos aquí para un status de cómo están funcionando las órdenes que hice hace 2 semanas. Y me están indicando que no estás aceptando el dinero directamente de la señora López. ¿Hay problema en aceptando eso?
Sí hay problema porque fue a buscarme el trabajo y no dijo que era mi expareja. Me quieren correr del trabajo porque fue ella.
Judge, I mean, it's incredible that somebody is approaching you to deliver upward of $500 or $600. I don't know what the amount is, just to turn it over to you, and you refuse to accept it because you're at work. It's kind of like it's disingenuous, Judge. I think it's just
Well, I mean, I'm not going to find that your client's in violation of the order. She's obviously making an attempt to make the payment, and we'll square that off here in a second, Mr. Reyes.
Yes, Judge.
One of the things that I do want to take up, if you remember last time, Mr. Mercado had filed 13 exhibits or so. They're e-filed. So
Right.
and I didn't have, he filed them the same day of the hearing, so I didn't have an opportunity to review them. There really wasn't anything new in there that I guess I didn't already know based on the testimony of both parties, except for, it got me thinking as to this point, Mr. Reyes. There are 2 accounts that are being used to pay the mortgage. Initially, Mr. Mercado was using the Texas Community Bank account in order to purchase the home back in '91, and he paid in excess of $10,000 as a down payment and everything to get the house bought. Clearly, by the exhibits that you submitted, then the Wells Fargo account ending in 45 is being used to pay the monthly payments of $1,000, I think it's $193. And I went through them again, and they're pretty consistent monthly payments, but I only saw 2 payments in the year of 2021. Now, again, I'm assuming somehow the mortgage is being paid. My concern is this, in reference to the temporary orders. To an extent, I'm going to leave them in place, but this is my concern, Mr. Reyes. I mean, what's the end game here? Your client is not going to be able to buy out Mr. Mercado. I mean, one of the reasons they got into this mess is because she doesn't have the credit. Just for the sake of argument, if each one is paying 50% on the note, 29 years from now or 28 years from now, each is going to go on 50%, but that's not going to be workable for the next 28 years. I mean, you see that.
I agree with you, Judge.
Okay. Well, and this is my concern, okay? Because your client was living there with her daughter, and wanted to at least have an opportunity to get a clearer picture of what's happening. I don't necessarily think the decision I make to let your client allowed to live there based on her paying 50%, which she's trying to do and obviously is doing, whether they want to accept the money or not, and we'll address that. The thing is this: if you extend this order out 1, 2, 3 years, basically you have Mr. Mercado paying for half of a house that he's not able to use. You see my point?
Yes, Judge. And in fact, Judge, that's not what we want. In fact, part of the reason was I guess, rush to throw her out in the street, Judge, making no allowance for my client to make a transition. And so my greatest hope is that these folks will understand that she does have some money that she's invested in this house as well. The $10,000, Judge, that you referred to, a large chunk of that was her money. She testified to that the last time. And I want to say she said something like 8,000 or something along those lines. But Judge,
I saw that also, just to be fair, Mrs. Lemos also gave her son a check for $4,800.
and that may very well be, Judge. It was a gift from her to her son. And hey, great. You know, if I have money that I can give to my kids, great. And that's, I think, what she's doing, like all of us that have
Well, but
kids.
he used that money as part of the down payment. And
We do not dispute that at all, Judge. We do not dispute that at all.
okay,
So,
let me finish where I'm going with this and
Yes, sir.
why. And I think your client should be allowed a transition, but it probably needs to be sooner than later. And I'll tell you why. Again, for that example that I gave you, is that Mr. Mercado is paying for half of that house to which I've excluded him from. If your client is unable to transition out, then I think it would be just for him to request, at least for the temporary orders until the final numbers come in, for him to request that some amount of rent be paid or offset on the amount of money he's paying. I'm not going to order that right now, but that's what I'm envisioning here, because as my orders stand right now, your client is getting the full benefit of living there in a house which may ultimately be 50% hers, but we're excluding Mr. Mercado from being able to live there. And the problem is that this joint tenancy between Mr. Mercado and Ms. Lopez going forward is not going to work. I don't expect them to cooperate with each other. But the thing is that financially right now, Mr. Mercado is having to bear the brunt, in the sense that he's paying 50% of the mortgage, yet he doesn't get the benefit of either living there or charging rent. Now, so that was one of the reasons why I wanted to set this status hearing, and also give me an opportunity to review the exhibits that Mr. Mercado had filed on that day that I did not get a chance to review. I did review them, Mr. Mercado, and I don't know, Ms. Lemos, have you understood what I've been saying?
No le entendemos.
No le entendí. ¿Qué le dijo, señor juez?
Ok, lo que le estaba diciendo al señor Reyes ahorita en inglés es que en revisando los documentos que presentaron hace 2 semanas, en realidad no hubo una gran sorpresa. Yo ya sabía que la mayoría de los pagos vinieron de esa cuenta del Texas Community Bank, y que puede ser si era mitad o más del dinero sí vino del señor Mercado. Mi preocupación ahorita en la orden que hice hace 2 semanas, y no la voy a cambiar inmediatamente, pero es este punto, que yo excluí el señor Mercado de esa casa, y en realidad la mitad es suya, es de él, y no está recibiendo el beneficio de poder vivir ahí. Voy a seguir con esa orden, pero lo que le estaba diciendo al señor Reyes es que debe de tener un plan de transición, porque si no se puede salir pronto, la conclusión lógica es que le debe de poder cobrar renta para su mitad, porque él no está recibiendo el beneficio de poder ser dueño, parte dueño de esa casa. Y les quiero recordar que comencé la audiencia la última vez, es que ahorita no voy a decidir quién va a ganar, cuáles son los porcentajes exactos de quién es dueño de qué parte, y puede ser que él tiene más interés o menos. Esa información se va a presentar en los meses que vienen, pero inmediatamente yo estoy reconociendo que hay una pérdida por parte del señor Mercado, porque no tiene el beneficio de vivir ahí o cobrar renta. Y le estoy sugiriendo al señor Reyes que siguiendo adelante, si no hay un plan de transición donde ella se puede salir sin molestia, ¿verdad? Lo que voy a tomar en cuenta es que está viviendo ahí y debe de pagar algo de renta al señor Mercado para que no haga pérdida completa de no poder vivir ahí. So, Mr. Reyes, I'm going to leave the
Judge, can I maybe propose something, and maybe I can do it in Spanish?
sure.
Where, señor juez, como usted sabe, hay jueces que en veces traen a los dos lados, a los dos partidos, y los escucha las posesiones respectivas. Entonces, a eso le llaman un settlement conference. No es una mediación, pero es como una conferencia para tratar de hacer a los partidos entender su posición legal, y basado en las posiciones legales, a lo mejor llegamos a una medio del camino y podemos resolver este caso en el total. Entonces, reconociendo lo que nos ha platicado el juez esta mañana, su impresión del caso, pienso yo que a lo mejor sí sería una buena opción si el señor Mercado y la señora Limas están dispuestos a tratar de sentarnos con usted y hacer una conferencia para tratar de resolver este caso. Nuestra posición sería presentarle a usted las cantidades que yo pienso que a la señora Salazar López ha contribuido hacia esta compra de casa. Entonces,
Hold on, Mr. Reyes, and just for the record, we're off the record now.
I'm sorry, Judge.
Just so the court reporter's not going nuts, but go ahead, Mr. Reyes.
Okay. Entonces, de nuestras perspectivas sería, esto fue lo que ella invirtió. Entonces, llegar a un acuerdo de si va a haber un reembolso que usted nos guíe, basado en sus pensamientos, que sería una cantidad adecuada para reembolsarle a Ms. Salazar López esa cantidad que ella invirtió. Cuando se hizo la inversión, pues no se anticipaba de que iba a haber un atento de removerla, ya sea por acción jurídica o física, no sé. El hecho ya pasó. Entonces, lo único que falta es resolver ese interés que nosotros decimos que ya tiene. Entonces, si ellos están dispuestos y con la asistencia suya, juez, podemos llegar a una cantidad que pensemos que se le va a recompensar a ella por el dinero que ella invirtió. Entonces, podríamos resolverlo. Le ayuda a ella a hacer la transición para tener ese dinero para buscar otro lugar, ya sea donde rentar o donde comprar, para poder hacer esa transición.
Ok. Déjame que haga una respuesta el señor Mercado y la señora Limos sobre eso. Y déjame decirle a los dos lados que basado en lo que han entregado los dos a la corte, no se puede hacer una determinación con lo que me mandaron, quién puso qué parte para la compra de la casa todavía. Estoy viendo dónde se están haciendo los pagos, pero necesito un paso anterior. ¿Quién está haciendo los depósitos a la cuenta de Texas Community Bank y quién está haciendo los depósitos en la cuenta de Wells Fargo? ¿Ok? Y ahora le dejo responder, señor Mercado.
Así como agarro yo el cheque, ahorita se lo estoy pasando a mi mamá, porque como entro ahorita de 7 de la mañana, entro a las 8 de la mañana, pero pasando casi peñitas. Y salgo tarde, le dije, por eso le hice la orden a mi mamá para que hiciera eso. Pero los pagos siempre los he dado yo con la tarjeta de crédito al banco. El banco, o sea, el cheque siempre, todo el cheque siempre se depositaba al banco. Ella nunca depositó nada. Más aparte, quiero hacer
¿En cuál banco?
En el Wells Fargo.
Wells Fargo.
Y yo tengo pruebas. Y me fue y abrió el agua diciendo que era mi esposa y no es mi esposa. Tengo aquí y se debe el agua. Hizo cambios ella con nombre, llevó los papeles, y dijo que era mi esposa. Se debe de la luz, $960 también, que cortó la luz, se hizo servicio, ella puso luz. ¿Por qué lo hizo todo eso? Sí, yo no autoricé.
Bueno, eso de la luz, hice la orden anteriormente que ella es responsable por eso. Y yo sé, si todavía está la luz bajo de tu nombre, eso puede causar problemas. Pero déjame, y ahora, señora Limos, algo brevemente.
Sí, brevemente le quiero decir yo, señor juez, que yo tengo todas las pruebas donde yo también puse $5,000, $4,800 para que él completara su crédito. Entonces, tengo pruebas de todo lo que pusimos y depósitos del banco de mi hijo. No hay ningún depósito de la señora Salazar.
Ok,
No se ve.
y por eso yo creo que la sugerencia del señor Reyes es una que a lo mejor nos pueda ayudar por esta razón.
Sí.
Si intentamos de juntar toda esta información informalmente conmigo, a frente de mí, y tratando de resolver un porcentaje, ¿verdad? De dueño de la propiedad, tiene la ventaja que no están gastando los dos lados en gastos de corte. No tienen que pagar extra por tener yo como asistiendo en tratando de resolver la causa, y obviamente no los puedo forzar a aceptar lo que estoy reponiendo. Van a tener el derecho de seguir adelante con esta causa. Pero nomás quería que ustedes, los dos lados, reconocieran que la decisión que hice hace 2 semanas era incompleta, pero en ese sentido de que creo que si no hay un plan de transición donde ella se va a ir o te va a comprar tu interés, y no sabemos eso todavía, el número, que sería justo entonces determinar qué sería una renta justa por no poder usar tu mitad o tu parte. Estoy diciendo mitad porque eso es conveniente, pero puede ser que eres dueño más de 50% o menos, pero no puedes usar tu mitad de esa propiedad y debe de haber recompensa por eso. Nomás los quiero saber que no me estoy olvidando de eso, pero el intento de estas órdenes es para mantener el paz sin causar menos daño, y es lo que estoy haciendo. Y por eso, como dije la última vez, que quería un status hearing por este punto exacto, que quería ver si había problemas, y voy a seguir manteniendo observación de esta causa, porque yo creo que hay la posibilidad de que tomen pasos que no deben de tomar los dos lados. No le estoy echando culpa a uno. Por el momento, quiero resolver este problemita de entregando el dinero. Señor Mercado, yo sé que te interesa por tu parte. Mr. Reyes, no, ¿por qué no se puede depositar el dinero directamente a la cuenta de Wells Fargo si ella es media dueña de esa cuenta?
Porque él canceló la cuenta, pues. Entonces, a
Ok,
eso
vamos.
causó otro problema. Pues, una aclaración. No sé qué es la cantidad que el señor gane o lo que sea, pero en esta cuenta, pues, eran dineros mancomunados. Tanto dinero que se mete ella o lo que mete él. El propósito para hacer eso, pues, era para poder salir adelante, no más con el pago de la casa.
Regresando al punto que hice, es basado en la información de los dos, no hay una determinación de que quién puso cuál cantidad, ¿ok? Y fue una de las cosas que mencioné inicialmente, que necesitaba más información sobre ese punto.
Sí.
So, mira, and so I'm going to maintain, let me go in English now. I'm going to maintain the orders that I issued 2 weeks ago. And we're going to do two things. Either we're going to have another status hearing in another 2 weeks, or we're going to, let's see, am I back on? Today's Monday. Except for tomorrow, I have a pretty flexible schedule in the afternoons the rest of this week where I'm able to meet either individually, well, I can't do that, where I can meet with both of you all, either here, and we'll separate you in the jury room and one of the other rooms, and you can start showing me the amounts of money that you all used to buy the home and the monies that are being used to pay the mortgage, because it's just a numbers thing. Okay.
I agree as far as that it is numbers, Judge. Judge, I'm only going to be here through tomorrow, and I'm going to be out the rest of the week. So I couldn't do it this week, Judge. I don't know that we would be able to gather the relevant documents, if there's any, within such a short period. But Judge, my pleadings is one for a declaratory judgment. And so if the declaration that we seek is that she did invest some money, she has some kind of ownership interest, that she be compensated for the amount that she put in. It'll be the onerous on us, Judge, to determine, to help you determine what amount, if any, she contributed. And so,
and then he can buy her out, because I think that's going to be the only issue.
I believe so, Judge.
Okay.
And so if they're willing to do that, Judge, it's my idea. And if they're willing to, I don't know if they're willing to, Judge.
I don't see a downside to that. ¿Hay algo que tiene que decir, señor Mercado?
Sí, como lo de la luz, que se debe. O sea, voy a seguir pagando yo todos los meses que estuvo ella, que yo no estaba. Más aparte, si yo no puedo ir por el cheque, ¿por qué no se lo pueden dar a mi mamá si yo la había mandado? Ella tiene la orden.
Ahorita vamos a resolver ese punto en este momento.
Ok, otra cosa, no me le iba a decir, si me puso orden de restricción, ¿por qué pasa por la casa ella? ¿Por qué fue a buscarme el trabajo?
Ok, en realidad, y te voy a hacer esta pregunta, ¿qué daño te hizo ir a tu lugar de empleo para entregarte el dinero para pagar la nota?
Porque no, a mí no me dijo, me dijeron que no era mi esposa, no dijo nada. Ella dijo que era un familiar que tenía que hablar conmigo. La misma dueña me dijo eso. No dijo que era ex, que tenía problemas. Y fue el día después de que tuvimos la corte, fue ella para allá.
Let's do this. Is there an address where she can just stick it in the mailbox then and mail it to him, and he'll get it 2 or 3 days? So, and then we avoid all contact. Hay una dirección donde se puede mandar el correo.
Sí, a 111 Carter Drive, ella lo sabe muy bien, es la casa de mi abuela. 111 Carter Drive, Laredo, Texas, y ella sabe muy bien aquí la dirección.
Okay, and the issue regarding the utilities, Mr. Reyes, I'm sure there's an issue as to back owed amounts. For right now, I mean, it behooves your client to get this squared away with the utilities, and I'll take that into account when we meet. I'm looking at my schedule for next week as well, and I do have the afternoons except for Tuesday open.
So maybe not this week, Judge, but the following week, say on a Thursday or Friday afternoon would probably work.
Yes, it would work for me
And
too.
in the meantime, I would send my client out to try to retrieve whatever documentation might be out there. If there's anybody that could somehow say, look, I turned the money over in cash to her, I don't know, whatever it is, that whichever way, the onerous is going to be on us, Judge, to show what amounts she contributed.
So
as to this thing about, about wife, family, there's a bunch of nonsense, Judge. I don't think it helps any. And what we're trying to do is you're right. It's a numbers game at this point. And so that's neither here nor there. And if he went and disconnected the utilities, she went and reconnected under her name, Judge. So there you have it.
okay.
I mean,
Yeah, and we'll address past due amounts then when we reconvene. So we're either going to reconvene on a status hearing, or we're going to reconvene to try to see if we can get a resolution to some of these numbers. So
next Thursday, Judge?
The 30th or the 1st of October.
The 1st of October would be, let's see.
That's a Friday. That's
can we do it on a Thursday, Judge? A Friday afternoon is usually not good because
the 30th. The 30th.
30th, let's say 2 in the afternoon, Judge? On a status/settlement conference?
Judge, if you're looking at September 30, you have in custody, and it's a long docket.
At what time does it start?
It starts at 1:30. It will probably be the same as last time, holding up everybody.
Yeah,
You have about 70 cases.
I just looked at my calendar. I didn't see that in there.
October 1st is fine, Judge. Ni modo, we'll have to, everybody's gonna have to work around this thing.
Okay, so let's
Oh,
do October
I'm saying
1st.
on my part, Judge, everybody here in our office is gonna have to work around this.
Okay,
So on the 1st of October at 2 in the afternoon,
and I want more documentation as to who paid what and bring the utility stuff.
okay.
Hold on, let me talk to Mr. Mercado. Sí, señor Mercado.
Lo que quisiera saber, podría ir por ropa, cosas mías, porque yo me salí sin nada. O sea, todos los días es con ropa de trabajo. No sé por qué. No tengo ni autorización yo para ir.
Okay,
Para nada.
so Mr. Reyes, I think that's a fair request for him to be able to go get his personal effects.
Judge, so long as mom is not there, his mom, that is, Ms. Limas, it seems kind of like a lightning rod type, Judge. And so rather than have that, if we could just get a time certain from him where he proposes to go and
¿Cuándo tiene
Mention
tiempo
things,
para
sir.
ir, señor Mercado?
Al sábado a mediodía. Pero tengo que ir yo. Yo salgo el sábado a las 2 de la tarde del trabajo.
Pues entonces a las 3 el sábado. Okay, 3 o'clock on Saturday.
that would be the 25th, Judge,
Right. 3
At-
o'clock,
at 3 o'clock.
3 p.m.
To
Vas a ir
repeat,
solo,
to
señor Mercado.
¿Mande?
Vas a ir solo.
Pero va a ir un policía porque si voy solo va a empezar con sus problemas. Yo no quiero tener problemas. Siempre es lo mismo.
What, I don't know what problems there would be, Judge. We're agreeing to, under your instruction, Judge. I don't see that as a problem.
I don't see, and we've got the address squared away. What was the address again that we're gonna mail the money to? La dirección donde se va a mandar el dinero.
Es 111 Carter Drive, Laredo, Texas.
Cartel Drive.
Sí.
All right.
111 Carter Drive.
Or Carter.
¿Y cómo le hizo llegar cómo le hizo llegar el?
Se lo traje aquí, no sé quién vino por él.
Judge, one of the things that I had just forgotten, Judge. One of the things that I requested of her was rather so as to avoid any problems, I told her, bring the payment here. And I think Ms. Limos showed up and we told her it has to be Mr. Mercado. And I don't know if Mr. Mercado came by and picked up the check.
Well, Mr. Reyes, do you see a problem with her picking up, Ms. Limos picking up the check at your office?
No, Judge, so long as he's telling you that it's under his authorization, at that point, we had no such indication, Judge.
Okay.
If he's telling you now that he's gonna appoint her to come pick up the check here or whatever, or
Señor Limos, a mi Mercado, me está preguntando si le estás dando autorización a tu mamá que levante los cheques.
Y yo ya les había dado, ella tiene la hoja de autorización y fue mi mamá y le dijeron que no podía. Yo fui con
Let me
ella.
put this on the okay.
She has the page with authorization and her mom went. And they,
Oh, there we are. Let me just put this on the record, Mr. Reyes, that the
Pero no más problemas de.
defendant, Mr. Mercado, is authorizing Ms. Limos to pick up the check, and I think that'll make it easier.
either that, Judge, or it just gets mailed. Just to avoid the problem, Judge.
Well, then have her mail it, and, you know.
I would say so, Judge, because at that point, the only reason we didn't turn it over to her is because there was no indication, Judge, that she was he had authorized her in any which way. There was a note delivered to my
Okay,
office.
okay, Mr. Reyes, that's fine, Mr. Reyes. You just mail it out then.
We'll have it mailed out, Judge.
Te lo van a mandar por correo, señor Mercado. We're gonna
Okay.
send it by mail. Okay, so Mr. Mercado and Ms. Limos, I'm expecting the parties to meet here at the courthouse on the 1st of October at 1 o'clock with any additional documentation regarding the payments on the mortgage and the down payments for the house.
Señor Limos, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
Judge. Yes. Señor Limes, voy a esperar que las partes se reúnan aquí en la tribunal el 1 de octubre a la 1 de la tarde. In person, Judge, correct?
Yes.
En persona.
Okay.
Con cualquier documentación adicional sobre los pagos de la hipoteca y el pago inicial de la casa.
Okay.
Okay.
And any payments made on utilities.
Y cualquier pago que se dio, cualquier pago que se dio de las utilidades.
There you go. Last word, no, Ms. Limos, very last word and very quick. Go ahead.
Señora Limos, la última palabra y muy rapidito, por favor.
Sí, yo sé. Nomás quería saber si acaso va a seguir dando lo mismo 600 o hasta que usted determine. ¿No? ¿Va a seguir dando esa cantidad? ¿Y cuándo es cuando nos va a dar lo de la luz y lo del agua? Porque lo van a pasar al mal crédito por los $900 que se deben de luz. 300 por cancelación, señor juez, y 600 que se consumió ella.
What's the status of utilities right now, Mr. Reyes? Is it under her name?
It's under her name, Judge, and the reason that had to be done, Judge, is because he canceled them.
Yeah.
The cancellation is $300 that didn't have to occur, Judge, but for their actions. And if there's $600 that are owed, Judge, and if we're gonna go divvy up 50-50, then what she should be responsible would be the $300.
Okay, and yeah, I don't have any of that in front of me. So Ms. Limos, you need to bring that information on the 1st so we can decide how that's going to be apportioned.
Señora Limos, usted tiene que traer esa información el día 1.
Ok, yo les llevo toda la información
Okay,
y gracias por...
Okay.
Okay, I'll take you all the information.
I'll see you all at 1 o'clock on Friday, the 1st of October.
Very well, Judge.
Nos vemos el viernes 1 de octubre a la 1 de la tarde, en persona, por favor.
Ok,
Very well.
gracias, muy amable.
Okay, thank you very much.
The parties
Judge Matt.
on this case are excused.
Thank you, Judge.
Las partes de este caso se pueden retirar.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we have the folks here. Mr. Hernandez, let me call your case. Court calls 2021 CVG 1829 D3, Noel Jaramillo versus Manuel Garcia, Harold Diwali, Webb County. Mr. Hernandez, I kind of reviewed the docket and I wasn't very clear as to whether or not all the defendants were served in this case.
Your Honor, the only reason that Mr. Diwali was served, or we tried to serve him, was because we got this petition prepared very, very quickly. But no, the Valley and the constables and the sheriff's department, nobody else that needs to be served needs to be served. It's only Mr. Garcia and Mr. Jaramillo.
And Mr. who?
Mr. Jaramillo,
Oh, okay, Jaramillo.
the plaintiff, John.
Is Mr. Garcia represented?
Not that I know of, Judge. I talked to him just a little bit on Tuesday, but he didn't give me any indication that he was going to get someone to help him or had somebody that was going to serve him. Or to represent him, sorry.
Any word as to whether he's going to appear today?
I have no idea, Judge. I know that they've been together, and the operative facts in this case, Judge, is that the parties in 2017 got together, and Mr. Garcia had a home, which is he's still paying for it. I sold it to Mr. Jaramillo for $200,000. I think that the contract itself says that the contract would end if or when Mr. Jaramillo was not going to buy the house. In fact, he continued to make the payments. At about the same time, his mom was sick. She had to go to the hospital. She had to have her leg amputated. I believe that they told Mr. Garcia this, and all of a sudden he just disappeared. He has been paying the monthly payments. And then the last thing that Mr. Jaramillo realized is Mr. Garcia was nowhere to be found to get the other payments. So Mr. Garcia then filed a motion or a petition for an eviction, just off the bat, just like that. I don't believe that Mr. Garcia, well, I think he did serve Mr. Jaramillo, but I think when Mr. Jaramillo showed up, I don't think he had an attorney. Mr. Garcia didn't have an attorney. So the judge, Jose Salinas, found that it was an eviction, so it made an order. Then Mr. Jaramillo filed an appeal, and it went, I think, he's supposed to have paid some.
Okay, let me tell you what I'm thinking, Mr. Hernandez. And one of the things I was going to tell you is that, I mean, I kind of understood what you were getting at on your petition, but none of these contracts that you're talking about, they weren't in the file or they weren't attached to your petition. And I'm trying to get a grasp, but this was like a contract for purchase, basically, of a home.
Right.
And I'm assuming Mr. Garcia owes that money to a mortgage company or a bank?
Yes, Your Honor. The only 2 months that we are behind is I think August and September, and the monies are in my office. Mr. Garcia refuses to accept them.
Yeah, and that's why these contracts for deed are very tricky if they're not done correctly. And they're full of pitfalls, which is what your client is going through right now. I mean,
Well, Judge, the other thing is that the contracts for deed also place certain responsibilities on the seller. And one of those is that whenever they enter into a contract, the seller is supposed to provide a tax certificate to the buyer, and also some form of insurance on the property itself. And none of that was done. And again, Judge, just to be on the safe side and the short side, Mr. Jaramillo has the money to pay Mr. Garcia. Mr. Garcia.
I'm inclined to leave the TRO in place and actually reset the injunction hearing, because I want to hear from both sides, and I'd like to see some of the documentation that you're referring to.
Yes, sir.
And even if Mr. Garcia were here present, I think that the prudent thing would be to allow, or at least to keep either an injunction or a TRO in effect until we get this sorted out. But, you know, I'm going to need a little bit more than just the petition so that I can see what you're talking about and see what's going on. And as you're telling me, your client has the funds available to pay the note, but it's just you telling me that and possibly your client telling me that. I'd like to see some documentation along those lines. And again, just so Mr. Jaramillo, yeah, for the duration of this litigation, I don't want to make you homeless or throw you out in the street. And it sounds like you have the means to pay, but you know, you may have a contract with Mr. Garcia that's not very functional when problems come up. And we see this a lot, Mr. Jaramillo, because a lot of these contracts for deed, they require a lot of faith on both sides. And unfortunately, that's when something kooky happens, whether it be COVID or something else, or someone gets laid off, you know, you run into all these problems. But I have no intention, at least right now, especially since the other side didn't show up. What's the maximum, is it 14 or 21 days that I can extend the TRO and then reset this?
It's 14 days, Judge. And in fact, we went to the court, I think, on Tuesday. So we're okay, but if you redo it again, it's another 14 days.
No, I signed the TRO.
Yes.
And well, and that what I want to do is extend the TRO and then reset this case to give the other side an opportunity to respond in some form or fashion, but but I also would like a little bit more solid information from your client as to what happened here. And there's also the added issue that it sounds like there's going to be a mortgage company out there floating around that could step in if they don't get paid, could step in and take the property from both of you. Mr. Jaramillo, so that's a concern too, through no fault of your own. You may be willing and able to pay, but they may not accept the money from you directly because you're not on that note. Okay, so those are just some of the things that we're dealing with. Laura, you're not,
Yes, Your Honor.
you know, I don't have any of the coordinators from 341st, right?
No, Your Honor.
We October 4th, right, would be the extent. So we have to have something, we need to have something on before then. Well, let's do this, Mr. Hernandez, because
Your Honor, what we could do is basically grant the temporary restraining order, and that way.
you gotta turn it into an injunction and let them respond, just so that you understand, Mr. Hernandez. I'm going to go ahead and convert the TRO into a temporary injunction, and then, but do expect in the next few weeks a setting that will be sent to both sides to come back so we can flesh this out a little bit more, which is kind of what was going on with that other case. Kind of a status hearing, because I do want to give the other side an opportunity to respond, although technically they're in default. But the problem with that right now is that we've got a third party, the mortgage company out there, that we don't know whether they're getting paid or not. And that could mess everything up. So yeah, let me go ahead and if you can submit an order converting this to a temporary injunction, but just know, Mr. Hernandez, that I am going to give the other side a full opportunity to respond and see if there's something that can be worked out that's beneficial to both sides. And I'd like to know how many payments your client has made pursuant to the contract for deed. I mean,
Right. As far as Mr. Jaramillo is concerned, Judge, is right beside me. He's never been in default at all. The only problem is that Mr. Garcia has not accepted the payments. In fact, they made a payment to the Justice of the Peace Court, and he's got the other two payments, and he'll probably have the third payment as well, and we can tender that either to the registry or the court. It's not in his best. He does not want to get this case to continue on and on and on. We're going to take care of it right now.
well, let me advise against putting it in the registry of the court right now, because I think it's going to take more time to get it out. And one of the things you may, and again, if they're unrepresented, this may be difficult, is to find out the status of the payments on the original mortgage, because I mean, that always comes into play, because your client can make all the payments in the world, but if Mr. Garcia defaults,
Yes.
he's going to lose that property, and all he's going to be left with is a cause of action against Mr. Garcia, and he may or may not be judgment proof, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's kind of a concern for your client. It should be, but it is for the court too. I mean, we want to try to minimize the harm that's done. How many years has your client been on the contract for deed?
I think he's going on 4 years, Judge.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. Okay, so,
40,000.
and how, do you know how old the original mortgage is?
No, Judge. That's a
Okay.
lot of information that I don't know as well.
Well, and again, Mr. Jaramillo, you know, this is probably something you should have known before you got into this. And I know it's easy, hindsight, it's 2020, but that's a reason when you're buying land, it's always advisable to have someone like Mr. Hernandez from the very beginning, so they can warn you about all these things that can happen. But again, I'm not chastising you. It's just the reality of the situation you're in, okay? We're gonna see if we can work this out, but ultimately, you know, the people that hold title to this property you're trying to buy is not Mr. Garcia. It's a bank or mortgage company out there. They're the ones that kind of own that property, and they just want to get paid on the original. And the problem is that he may owe more than what you contracted for. I hope that's not the case, but because I mean, you could finish paying off your note, and he still may owe $10,000 or $20,000. And what happens? Who's going to pay that off? And if it doesn't get paid off, the mortgage company is going to be within their rights to come in and foreclose, and you won't be able to do a thing about it. So we want to try to avoid that. You're in good hands, so hopefully we can kind of get to a resolution on this. So can you submit a proposed order, Mr. Hernandez, and I'll extend the or sign the temporary orders, and then we'll plan to reconvene. Just be mindful that you'll be getting a notice from the court to come back so we can address this issue.
Yes, Your Honor, I sure will.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. Mr. Jaramillo, nice meeting you, and good luck. Okay, we'll try to get some resolution here to this.
Thank you, Judge. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Then the parties and the attorneys on this case are excused.
Okay, take care, Judge.
All right, thank you. All right, y'all, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, y'all. Thanks, Annette. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Judge, was there an afternoon docket or something, or no?
Not that I know of, not for me. Just
That's fine.
and tell your son hook 'em horns.
He loves Austin. I'll say. So yeah, thank you very much, and good luck also on your part.
Thank you, Annette. Have a good day.
Congratulations as well.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you
So
later.
long,